The most successful people in the world all have one thing in common. They've learned how to think big by developing a perspective of possibility. And the good news is, we all have the potential to apply the same strategies to achieve amazing things in our work and lives. Hi, I'm Rob Hartnett, and as your Chief Possibility Officer and host, I'm here to inspire you to become the star of your world as a person of possibility, through learning how people from all areas of life are thinking big and chasing down their dreams. Let's hear from a person of possibility right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the It's All Possible podcast. This one is a special one. We are recording this from Sandringham Yacht Club, and we're going to do this live in front of an audience. We have a live audience here, yes? Hey, we're all here, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a very live and rowdy audience, which is fantastic when you have a bar and you get people into it before you start recording, because I can't tell you what's going to happen from here. However, my very special guest for this episode is one of Australia's most successful yachtsmen, and he's only just getting warmed up. Only just. However, to date, he has won 5 world championships, 16 Australian championships, and frankly, we lost count after 51 state championships. And that's before we got into the seconds and thirds, which frankly, he doesn't want to talk about. Would you make welcome my special guest tonight, Mark Bulka. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
It's fantastic to get you along. I've known you for a long time, and in fact, we were sailing just recently up at Lake Epilogue, and I said to Mark, "What's it like sailing at Epilogue? I haven't been here for ages." It was like literally I sailed my sailfish there when I was 8, I think, since the last time. Mark said, "Oh, it's really good. Weather can be a little bit unpredictable, but they do have a wine tasting in the evening." So there you go. He's human after all. He is human after all. Mark, first question from me is, how did you get into sailing? Who kind of got you into the sport?
My parents had a yacht hire business down in Rosebud, and they had all the boats set up on the beach, so I could go sailing all day, every day, sort of thing. So when
how old were you then when you started?
5.
You were 5, and what sort of boats were they?
Started on a surf cat, like a windrush surf cat.
Right. Yeah.
Top cats.
Top cats.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Did those for a while. Got a Sabo, then a little paper tiger.
Yep.
And that was all on the beach.
And were you sailing out of Rosebud, the club then? How did you go from
It was about a kilometre up the. It was about a kilometre from the Rosebud Yacht Club.
Right.
And my parents had like a sea change. They had this big boat hire place. They had a kitchen in the back, and we basically lived in the shed, and then we'd just go home to sleep. So Mum cooked, dinners down at the shed, and my dad would be down there at 5:30 in the morning getting all the fishing boats ready for the fishermen. And then some guy came down the beach, said on a windy day, and said, "Too windy for fishing. Do you want to come out in my paper tiger?" And I went, "Can I have a go too?" So grabbed hold of the front beam, and we blasted out. He made me sit on the leeward side, so I couldn't really see much. But I remember having a look back to breathe, and I kind of liked it. It was pretty good. And then I said, "Can I have another go?" And then a couple of days later, my dad went and bought a boat, and then he went, "This is pretty good." And he got addicted straight away as well. And he goes, and while he had this boat on the beach, everyone came down and said, "Can we hire that boat?" And he went, "Business idea." So so within a couple of weeks, he had 6 boats there, and
wow.
And we were off.
And so they weren't sailors prior to that?
No.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so we all learned together.
Yeah.
The whole family.
You had the kind of your inspiration for it.
Yeah.
What was it the speed and the adrenaline at that young age that kind of got you hooked into it?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was just being in charge of your own ship.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And I was only 5, and I was going out on these 12-foot boats and looked a bit ridiculous. And I think it was just, I don't know, it was just that,
right.
just I'm on this big thing and I'm making it go, and I liked that.
It was that kind of sense of control and being in charge.
I mean, it was frightening.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. And dodging all the swimmers. I was only allowed to go out to the first sandbar, so I had to stay in pretty close, and that's
right.
where all the swimmers were, so that was dodging them.
So concentration. It's really funny, you should talk about that kind of that independence and sailing something yourself. I was talking to Lily Zhu, the gold medalist, Golden Lily, who was the laser Olympic medalist in London. And I said, "How'd you get into it?" Well, she knew nothing about sailing either. Her parents didn't know, and she was a swimmer. And the Chinese state was recruiting for the next Olympics, about 10, 15 years out. And she said, what's sailing? And they said, you get in a boat and you're all on your own and you steer it across waves. And she says, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. And in fact, when she actually did it, was in an Optimus. She said it was the most exciting thing she'd ever done. Was she's out in the water controlling something herself. And the adrenaline came later on, but it was just that kind of freedom. So it's really interesting.
I still remember, I was just thinking about this the other day. I still remember I used to have the sail pulled in, upwind, downwind, everywhere I went. And then someone came up to me one day and said, you know, when you go down, you're supposed to let the sail out. I went, all right. So I started letting it out that far.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you were getting ready for foiling. I mean, honestly.
And,
you were just
and that's why I was thinking about it. Because on the A class, downwind, you'd let it off one wrap off your hand. And that was downwind, and upwind was that wrap back on again.
Now, see, you're so far ahead. Now, the weapon of choice clearly for you is the Contender. How did you get into the Contender? What excites you so much about the boat?
Well, I have done a lot of classes, and listening to your stories before, the Aero guys were talking about going over to the Worlds and the travel and all that sort of thing. I'd sort of did the fins. I travelled overseas with that. That was great. Did the A classes, did a lot of overseas travel with that. That was great. And then transferred across to the Etchell and did a lot of years in the Etchell. And that was great, except when I came to going overseas, I'm like, right, boys, do you want to go to the Worlds? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I can go. Wife, kids, you know. So that my crew didn't always want to go. Well, I didn't want to go, basically. And then finally when I thought, well, I'm going to go because we're up the front, let's go have a crack at the Worlds. I'll see if I can get another crew. And they're like, yes, we'll come with you. Our fee is this much per day and pay for our airfares. And I'm like, no, I want you to share the cost. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm thinking, I'm in the wrong class here. I've got to find a boat that I can go overseas and do some sailing. And there was a bunch of contenders at my club. And I thought, international class, did a bit of research. I thought, I reckon I'll have a crack at that. So bought that. Within 6 months, I was going overseas. Not sure if Callum was at the first one. There was a bunch of us who were travelling. So, started seeing the world with the Contender and huge fleets overseas, as Callum over there knows. So,
And you've clearly stayed in it a long time. What did you enjoy about the racing of the Contender? Did it sort of combine everything you'd done before, a bit of the Etchell, a bit of the A class?
A bit of fin. So I did about 10, 11, 12 years in the fin. So it's quite fin-like.
Right.
It's probably a little aero-like. It's a little laser-like. But you don't have to hike.
Yeah, right.
And probably I'd done all the hiking I could handle in the fin. So I was happy not to hike. It goes a bit faster. And, it's not, if you go too fast, the tactics start to disappear. You go too slow, it just gets a little bit painful and boring. And the Contender's good because a long beat doesn't hurt, and you got the tactics because it's fast, but it's not too fast that the tactics disappear.
So this past season, and you won the Contender Worlds, which is fantastic. Round of applause for winning the Contender Worlds. You told me it was actually one of your most favourite wins, almost satisfying wins.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I've obviously won a few Worlds before, but not in Europe. So I've had a couple of seconds. I've had 2 seconds and 2 thirds in Europe. And I was starting to think, now that I'm the wrong side of 30, that maybe I'm not going to get that one in Europe. And I knew it was going to be a big fleet, 170 boats. Well, I thought we might have got to 200 boats. And I thought, well, there's probably about 12 people in the fleet that could probably win it. And if they won, you wouldn't say that was an upset. I thought, well, one of those 12 is going to probably win. I'm probably in that group, but hey, need a bit of luck to win a World. So I thought whoever wins that's going to be pretty lucky. And I got it. So I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Pretty special. So.
Yeah, amazing. You told me something like you did something like 70 races in Europe this season.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was a whole bunch of different regattas that you did.
Yeah.
So I think you did Dutch regatta, you did a bunch of others leading up to the World Championships.
Yeah.
Tell me, what motivates you and keeps you motivated? So because you did so many and you're leading up to it, what drives you to continue at that high level and go after one regatta to the next one to the next one?
Well, the Worlds was obviously the carrot at the end, and obviously the more work I did beforehand, the more chance I had. So I knew that was big.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I just feel the most satisfied, hopefully maybe everyone else does as well, the most satisfied in life when I'm actually at a regatta, tuning the boat, having a bit of banter with people, going out for dinner, and I don't know, it's just takes the, I don't know, what is it, what do you call it when you drink red wine, the Dolomites or something? Or it just takes that.
Yeah, the kind of edge.
The edge up.
Yeah.
It's just a level that I feel I like working in that level. So.
Now, someone talked about tuning the boats. You talked about, I love it being there. And I think a lot of the guys from the Aero Regatta were definitely with you in terms of the red wine, the baguettes, and all the things. When you started to say tuning, they were, hang on, what? We weren't doing that. Because I heard through there you are obsessive in tuning and just getting a whole lot out of the boat. And I did hear, and you can correct me if it's a rumour or not, but I did hear that you would quite often, I can't disclose my sources, you know what it's like. I did hear that you would sometimes be at dinner or still think about the boat and go back to the boat park at night, maybe just adjust something or change something up slightly. Is that true?
Yes.
Take us through that. I love that because I think it's passion as well, but you're constantly thinking about it. But tell me what drives you in that kind of thinking and what was going through when you go and do things like that?
I remember Nigel Abbott saying to me once, and you probably know Nigel pretty well, a lot of sailing and getting there is the thinking time. When you go away and you think about it and you sort of come up with the answer, or you sit around with some good sailors and you start bantering around some ideas and suddenly it makes sense what you were doing right or what you were doing wrong.
Right.
So I'd spent maybe I thought it on the water and then I thought about it more and bantered it around and then I actioned it, then I'll go back and action it. So at the Worlds, luckily I had, our sailmaker was staying with me in the house in Garda and Lindsay, and I did my last recut the day before the Worlds, basically. So I said, mate, you got to come for a drive. I've lined up a sail off down the road, so let's go.
Yeah. And he's a similar, in terms of he's very that kind of really focused. And I think the Contender is a good boat for doing that.
Yeah.
And because you've got so much to adjust as well. Given your track record. And one of the things I really like, Mark, is you've done success in so many different classes. Clearly, you worked out how to win a yacht race. And not only a yacht race, Martin clearly almost had it, got the 10th, right? Martin's worked out how to get the top mark. But you've gone beyond that to winning races, winning regattas and winning championships. What can you tell us about that? What have you in your years, what have you discovered that's really been some keys to success?
The key, like I was where Martin was and having good races and then bad races. But for me, it was about developing a really, really solid process and also breaking down every element of sailing into, like 100 parts. Now, you don't spend a heap of time on every part.
Right.
And you spend, most people go out and spend a whole lot of time starting and then they spend a whole lot of time speed. But you got to spend time on every component you can think of. And the more components that you can bring into I think it's like running a business. The more parts you bring in and perfect, and whether that's your rudder shape or your rudder or your hull finish or your sail shape or your bottom mark roundings or the way you surf a wave or the way you start or the way you create your gaps. And I think that, I'm struggling with height. Well, then how do I get my height? What is it about the boat that gets my height? And you work on that. A lot of people have mental problems. Like a lot of people, their biggest problem is mentally, and getting in touch with that and knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are there.
So touch on that a bit more. Take us through a bit more on the mental side.
I remember working with Red overseas in Adelaide a couple of years ago, and we were, I was trying to get, a lot of people just believe that they don't. I was listening to you, Martin, you were saying, I'm around the mark in third place and I'm looking back, waiting for the end, the inevitable. I would have come around in third place and thought, I'm going to catch those two in front. So that was your own self-belief that had, you were destined to go back. As soon as I heard you say that, you were destined to go back. But if you attacked that guy and those two in front, maybe you might have actually not lost so many boats from behind. And maybe you might have had a bit more gone forward. Right. So a lot of it's belief. And when Rhett and I was coaching the laser guys, the masters guys at the Worlds a couple of years ago, and I was saying to them, you're on the line, you're all equal. This is your chance to hang in there believe you can stay with them. Don't just believe that every Matt Wern's going to go past you. Like, take it to them. Like,
Yes.
believe it. Have a crack.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can't get past that. So they.
When you talk about the mental side and knowing your strengths and weaknesses, though, what are your strengths?
Knowing my weaknesses, and I don't know.
Tell us about the weaknesses then. Where do you think?
Well, I was exactly what Martin.
Right.
As soon as I heard Martin say that, I'm like, geez, I remember that. I remember that feeling, but I definitely don't have that feeling anymore. So now it's always about passing. I'm not looking back.
So when was the switch for you though? When you decided, you know what, I'm not going to be like Martin. Did you actually say those words?
No, I'm not sure I can quite. I'm not sure I can put a. I'm not sure I actually know.
Like, just for our podcast listeners who aren't here tonight, we'll be putting something in the show notes of who Martin actually is. So and I'll give you a LinkedIn profile as well, so you'll know. But when was, in all seriousness, when was the switch for you? When you went, you know what, I'm going to go after it.
Okay, so in 2013, I went and did a world titles in Lake Como.
Right.
And came third. And I was thinking, am I actually ever going to win a Worlds? I'd done a lot of Worlds up to that point. I'm in lots of classes, and I hadn't won. And I had thirds and fourths and sevenths and eighths, and I thought, right, time to win. And I remember coming back, and every single day I did something that would make me better at that next World Titles I did.
Right.
Every day. And when I got to that next Worlds, I won it.
You knew. And so it's taking action towards that goal or what you wanted to do when you were taking action like a winner.
Yep.
Yeah. And just working on each one of those.
Every single day.
Every single day.
Whether it was getting some better paint finishes on foils, whether it was training, whether it was getting fitter, whether it was understanding the rules better, sales better, training better. I just started breaking down the sailing and started working it out.
Yeah, and working. Yeah, I really like that. And I think it's chunking it down, which is frankly also what the brain likes to do. The brain likes to kind of, the brain loves to have a positive towards state, right? Which is firstly, I'm going to take it on. But then the brain also likes to actually chunk stuff down. So what's the little bits that I can do on a daily basis? So I think that habits, that kind of routine, that process starts to build confidence.
So the longer I did that, it's making it easy now to go back because I know what I did.
Yeah.
And
Do you keep a journal, write notes?
I have but I'm more keeping journals for coaching, so I am writing down a lot.
Right.
And coaching has helped me quite a lot because I'm refreshing what I know a lot.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to get young people and older people to get on my program.
Right.
And because I'm sprouting it, when I'm out on the water, I'm thinking it. Now, it's all really fresh in mind.
Reinforcing it and maybe having, you're seeing it from a different perspective, I guess, when you're coaching as well.
Yeah. And when we did our last Contender Nationals, I found it was quite exhausting because I had so much of my process I'd been telling everyone else to do that now my process before a start has become stupidly long.
Right.
And it was exhausting, the regatta, because I thought, I'm telling everyone else to do all this stuff. I cannot miss one of these elements. So I was onto it.
So let's talk. Let's take it's a good example actually on starts. So let's say you hit the start. What's going through your mind? What are you thinking about first 30 seconds off the line?
Fast.
Speed.
Fast. Low. My whole goal is to get in a position on the start line where I can put the bow down and go fast.
Right.
I'm positive that's the key to a good race, is that anyone who focuses narrowly on the guy, just trying to, if you're forced to try to survive on someone's hip or there's someone coming over you and you're you're in your gut's disappearing, and look, if you're in anything but go fast mode, the race will happen around you.
Right.
You'll just get stuck in the middle, grinding away, might beat that guy, squeeze him off, and you might survive on that guy's hip.
Yep.
But ultimately, the next thing you know, there'll be 30 boats crossing your bow from the left-hand side, and you tack to the right, and there's another 20 crossing you from that side, and you're like... But if you can get into a position where, good start, where you can actually quickly get over the guy below you,
right,
and you drag off the and don't have to worry about much else but going fast because you've done all the other work to know. Remember, you've still got to do a whole lot of work to know how to make the boat go fast.
Sure, yeah.
And you go fast, then you're likely to be in the front group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting advice. I remember asking Glenn Collins about this when he was sailing with Vanessa and Tasers. And or Vanessa actually said, Glenn is just driving the bow down, going as fast as possible, and I'm just calling boats.
Yeah.
Calling numbers, like calling boats around us, and he's just solid, like just so focused on just that speed element. So it's interesting.
So I'm now looking at the start line with however many boats we've got and thinking, where can I start that's going to allow me to go fast? And a lot of that's just who am I starting near? That person's a grinder, that person's a footer. What's going to get me to where I want to be on the course quick, and yeah.
Let me throw another one at you. You've done the 100 process elements before a start. You've got it right. You come off where you want to be.
Yeah.
And there's a 20-degree wind shift, and you're now 40th.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind at that point?
Bugger.
And then what happens?
Well, I think you just got to keep going with your process. Like you've just got to keep grinding away.
Yeah.
There's no magic bullet to get from 40th back up into the 10th position.
Yeah.
But if you do everything right, you can get back up there. I remember reading something that Glenn Burke said years ago was, if everyone's going the right way, then you may as well go the right way with it.
Right.
And because one by one, people will lose the mental strength. When we're talking about mental, they'll wane mentally. They'll take a risk. I'll head out here a little bit and see if I can pick up a little bit more and get some leverage, and maybe I can come back. The strong person will go, especially early on in a regatta, you're trying to build a regatta of consistent results. You've got to go, well, I'm just going to keep going the right way, and an opportunity may come. And one by one, the others will probably fall off as they weaken mentally and don't stick to the game plan.
Yeah. So it's so it's really remaining calm in that moment, assessing it, because I see a lot of people panic. They go, I'll take a flyer so I can go from 60th.
You've just got to avoid that. You've got to mentally stay really strong and not take that risk, unless you're confident it's a very educated, solid, worthwhile risk.
Yeah.
I actually had it in the Worlds. I had one bad start in the Worlds where I got to my transit, boats either side of, I was on my transit and there was boats below me, forward, and a boat above me, forward, and I thought, I can't go forward. I just can't do it. So I stopped, had a terrible start, and we got to the first mark in the 30s, and I'm thinking, because they just gassed me.
Sure.
They were both OCS, but they let the race go, but that put me in a pretty bad position. And I just stuck to my guns and sat 30th and maybe got up to 25th. And I was thinking, this race is not looking too good. And I remember coming around the mark the last time, and there was a top Danish sailor just in front of me, and he was watching to see what I was going to do. And I thought, he was sort of lee-bowing me, and I thought, I'll pretend to do attack. So I lifted up off the wire, and he went straight into attack. So I lowered myself back on, kept going. So I now had a free track, and I saw a windsurfer on the shore, wound right up on port tack, and I went, that's my ticket.
Yeah.
And I went over there and passed 20 boats.
So you say that, and I know what you're getting at, and I'm sure we've all done it, but a lot of people don't. I was reading an article by Glenn Ashby, and he says, one of the things he said that surprises him about sailors so much is they don't get their head out of the boat. They keep it stuck. And that was a perfect example of what you said then. Even though you were back a bit, just having you still that head outside the boat to look around and pick that windsurfer.
Yeah.
Like that. When does that... Yeah, when did you make that shift? When sometimes people are in the boat, it's all your own little world. Just that importance of getting your head outside the boat.
Well, it is all about being your head out of the boat. That's the tactical game, and that's what actually you get from sailing at a whole lot of different places. Like when we went to Epilogue, I go and do those sorts of regattas because Epilogue is a crazy place to sail. So it teaches you stuff. Albert Park Lake, I used to do a lot of sailing. As a kid, I sailed at Albert Park Lake a lot because it was madness, but it teaches you so much about shifts. Blair Gowrie, those of you who are sailing at Blair Gowrie, that's a beautiful place. That's one of my favourite tracks in the world because I love the current and the shifts. There's so much going on down there. I love going down there because it's, if you come out here all the time and you just grind away upwind and grind out there, it's okay. But I mean, there's nothing like going to Blairgowrie and having to play the tactical game and all these elements coming at you. And Macrae's is quite similar actually. It has, I think Blairgowrie's even better, but Macrae's similar. So,
yeah. So
the more of that you do, the better you become at reading the day and then the opportunities appear. Like if they'll just appear. They nearly always do. So,
yeah. What about when you're going to do an overseas regatta? And we heard that a lot of Aero regattas are overseas next year. And how do you prepare for it? So you find out a regatta's at X place. What's your first process to go through?
Oh, well, I mean, you just got to try to learn as much as possible, don't you? It's a tough one. I mean, in Malchesney this year, we had the Moths sailed their worlds at our venue about a week and a half or 2 weeks before us, and they had trackers on their boats. So I went down and watched their racing, so I learned a little bit there. I sailed down on my boat from Torbalo and would just watch a bit of their racing. And then in the evenings, probably sounds a bit weird, but I actually had the laptop up each night and I watched all their races. I probably watched them 100 times. I would have watched 100 versions of that race, of their races for the whole week. And I would take a sailor like Slingsby, who used to live there, and watch his track and where he bounced off the cliffs and some of the other locals and what they did. And because everyone thinks Garda's easy, go left and then do that, but there's another key element. It's the way the wind curves when it leaves the shore, and that was more important than the left-hander. Yeah. So otherwise, you ask locals, you could go there early.
Right.
But if you don't know a whole lot, then you've got to change your sailing plan.
Yep.
Maybe you start conservatively, go with the locals, keep them in check. They're tacking right. Well, I better go. Maybe I'm going with them for now until something else starts to open up.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot on the go.
Yes. Yeah.
From one lap to the next, we learn, don't we? We go, I should have gone right that last time. That sure obviously worked. Yeah. Next time you come around, nearly everyone goes right, but go right, and you just keep learning. So that's why pre-worlds are good.
Yeah.
Asking a local, hopefully a local that knows what he's talking about. But the other thing is you can also take what you know from one club and go, this is very similar track to when I sailed at Black Rock that day.
Right.
And the sea breeze comes in here and these waves. Or I sailed in Switzerland somewhere and that had a similar sort of thing and that storm came over the hill. You can just draw on knowledge from all past experiences, and in retrospect, you can always work it out.
Yeah.
So,
just talking about that experience is one of the things you said to me years ago, and I think it was when I had my kids sailing, and you said just sail as many boats, different types of boats as you can. Like if you get the opportunity to sail on this boat, go sail it. If you get an opportunity to crew on a boat for a regatta, go do that. Just take us through that philosophy, because you've done it and you've won a lot in doing it. But what do you think that does for people when they sail different types of boats?
Well, you see all the America's Cup guys doing it these days, don't you? Like I saw Tom Slingsby was up sailing a 16-foot skiff last week, or the week before. Oh, you just learn something from every class, and it's amazing how many things you learn from one class, come across to another class.
Yeah.
I remember sailing cats as a kid. As my first thing that we were sailing cats, and we did the reaches. We just aimed from one mark and just went to the jibe mark in a straight line. And then I bought a 16-foot skiff for some crazy reason with no idea what I was doing, and we'd just try to send the boat straight at the next mark. And of course, we'd get a gust and just tip over, and I'd yell at the forward hand. I go, "Why didn't you let the sail out?" And I didn't realise you had to actually chase the spinnaker. Yeah. So I didn't even know that. So it's just basic stuff from a long time ago, but you just slowly learn. Now I'm learning what mid-leaches and lowers and different shroud tensions do. And you can take that from Sydney 38s to J70s to Etchells to a laser.
Right.
Mid-leach, what am I trying to achieve? There's different ways to try it, and probably an Aero, there's different ways to achieve it. Yeah. But you start to know what you're trying to achieve. And sail shapes,
It's a whole subject, isn't it, on different sail shapes. But one thing I thought, that some people do get confused, But what you do is you're recommending to sell a whole lot of different boats. You don't need to buy all these boats, do you? So I was noticing Martin, my good friend down here, he's got a Sabre, J70, Aero, and a Paper Tiger. So when you're saying you should sell different boats, you don't need to actually go and buy them all. Is that right? Is that right? Unless you've got untold.
I don't know.
You recommend it. Martin, he recommends it, so it's good. You're on the right path. Let's give Martin a round of applause. He's on the right path. Buy as many as you can. That's it.
With a lot of other guys, it really improved my thinking sailing because I was learning from other people and, seeing firsthand how to, pick those ships and that sort of thing. So it really improved my thinking sailing by, sailing on different classes.
I think that's right. You've sailed a lot of big boats too, as well, Mark. And I think so teamwork and crew work is obviously something we haven't talked about a lot today because it's not that relevant in an Aero. But that's also something I think you learn from other people. I've always found that be really useful when you sail with people. Like, if you get a chance to sail with you, it would be fantastic. And to sail with some others, you just pick up things if you're observant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm heading up to Sydney tomorrow morning. I'm sailing with Malcolm Page, 2-time gold medalist. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Sail with Ashby a fair bit in the Etchell days, and sailing with Bertrand, sail with John Bertrand a bit, and you learn something from everyone. So it's
Now, tell me about, you've got the kids coming up through sailing now. Tell me about how that is and what's the joy of seeing them sail? Because they're great sailors. So tell us about what that journey's been like for you, bringing your kids through the sport.
Well, I'm sure plenty of us have done it. We just want our kids to have the same journey that we did, don't we? Like, I'm not really worried about how seriously they take it, but I just want them to have that ability to go on the ride that we're all going on, like Martin going overseas and sailing Aeros. I'd love it. I'd love to hear my sons going, I'm taking an Aero, going to do the Worlds in Lake Garda. I'll be thinking, I've succeeded. So I'm trying to manage that, without being an overly pushy dad, and just trying to, I've seen a lot of people push their kids pretty hard, and they're out there with their ducks and going super hard, and I've seen most of those kids stop. So
you've been to an Opti regatta?
Yeah. So I'm trying in my own way to keep them going.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether it'll work yet. We'll see.
Well,
but they're having it.
They're enjoying themselves.
They're enjoying it at the moment, and they're going.
And they're having fun.
So.
They're winning, so it can't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're going right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome and thank, but please thank Mark Bulka for his time tonight. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mark. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the It's All Possible podcast. You can contact me at rob@robhartnett.com or my website, robhartnett.com, or on LinkedIn. Remember to check out the previous seasons and episodes of the podcast and the show notes for more details on this episode's guest. For more inspiration, remember to check out the It's All Possibility playlist on Spotify, which contains a collection of upbeat, positive music I use for inspiration in my live performances. Until next time, live with passion and a perspective of possibility.